So, before we get to the club,
Mm-hmm.
the restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
why don't you tell Manistee who you are,
Okay.
where you're from, what you've been doing? I've heard some wild shit already.
Uh-oh.
No, but good stuff.
I'm about to say, like, whoa, wow, that's a way to start. I've heard some wild stuff already. That can go a lot of different directions.
Fun stuff, I guess. I guess I shouldn't say wild. It's more like fun stuff.
Oh, good.
Some of the big names that were dropped.
Yeah.
From your background, but I'll let you.
I've been super, super fortunate in where I've been and what I've done. So first of all, I'm Chef Jason Tilmann. I'm originally from Michigan. I was born in Ann Arbor when my dad was going to dental school at U of M, and then he graduated dental school and moved up north. So in West Branch. So West Branch and Manistee. Manistee is probably bigger than West Branch, but so we have property out off of 55. So I've been coming to Manistee since I was ever since I can remember.
Sure.
I think Manistee is where I learned to be a man. I mean, you put me in the middle of the woods right now, and we will eat. And as a chef, we will eat well. We will survive. We'll get heat, and we'll have a good time. So Manistee is very, very dear to my heart, and it's very special to me because it's just a great environment, great place to raise kids. It's a good, just down home community that I think is special. And so with doing Lakeside Social here, it strikes a very sentimental spot in my heart. And it's just, I feel like, there's going to be a big appreciation for what I want to do and what we want to bring, from the amount of jobs that we're going to bring to the community, to the style of food that we're going to do, to the environment, to Lakeside Social. It's a social, fun, inviting environment that's going to be great. So that's me in a nutshell, and then go ahead.
Well, I mean, since you brought up the Lakeside Social, we can touch on that. But I do want to learn a little bit more about your background as a chef, and what you've done and what that's led up to this.
Yeah.
But I pulled up the News Advocate's article again this morning just to kind of take a look at it, and I think it looks amazing.
Thank you.
The architectural rendering looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I guess to this point, let's talk about why you picked that location.
Yeah.
And then, as a vegetarian, my wife is a vegan.
Oh, you guys are going to be awesome. I got you right up your alley.
So reading the article again this morning, I was like, oh, that's kind of fresh. You're definitely touching, for some people.
Well, I mean, it's about, going out to eat in my mind is about the complete experience. And, if you don't have something for everybody, you are alienating people, and that's not cool. So what we wanted to do is create something for everybody. So if you have a vegan or a vegetarian in the group, they have something that's well orchestrated, well thought out, and it's not an afterthought or like a bunch of vegetables thrown on a plate. You go, oh, I'm a vegan, and the chef in the back is like, oh, I got it, make pasta. Or having a dish that is always the same. It looks the same. It's got a lot of mind into it and a lot of thought into it that focuses on the same principles that we would do for a regular dish, where you're looking for smell, look, feel, color, texture, and so that really kind of makes it different and unique. So that's kind of what we wanted to do with there. And the other thing, you had said, why Manistee and this whole thing. And eventually, when we open, hopefully, the location we selected, we can do this same thing, sitting on the patio, watching the sunrise. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful environment. I mean, and I feel like, Manistee Lake is very underutilized right now, and there's not a lot of stuff that's out there, but it's a beautiful spot. I mean, I was driving here today, and it's just gorgeous. The bald eagles flying around, the sun is shining. It's just a gorgeous and a good feel to watch the sunrise. I mean, it's, and that's where it's right in your face. So that's kind of why the location was.
I love the location. For me, the location, and I've said this before on podcasts. Yeah. So my family owned the motel that used to be there years ago, and it's slowly, been developed up, which is great.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the way it looks now.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. I mean, I used to watch the fireworks were across the lake over in East Lake when I was very, very young.
That's going to be a hot seat.
Yeah.
In the 4th of July.
Yeah,
Lakeside
for sure.
Social Patio is going to be a hot seat for the 4th of July fireworks. Right? I mean, they're right there.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting but why did you guys pick that location?
Yeah. Well, the location, wasn't 100% me picking the location. You know, the location was, you know, our partners, and they had came to me and said, you know, would you be interested? And so I didn't really know where it was until I came up, and I came up with my wife, and we saw it. And as soon as we saw it, we just knew. I mean, the visions and just the, you know, the grandeur of what is in our mind and what's going to happen there is so big, it just made sense. You know what I mean? And you know, like I said, you know, Manistee needs something, and it needs, well, it needs a lot of stuff, but well, my point is that it just needs to continue to evolve. And in order for, I mean, there's no reason why Manistee shouldn't be, you know, a Ludington or one of these other beautiful, great, you know, lake shore communities with a very, very vibrant, booming summertime, you know, environment. And I think we have it, but I think we're missing a lot, you know. And, you know, being at that location on Manistee Lake draws Lake Michigan. You know, so now we have Lake Michigan, and it's easy to motor out to Lake Michigan, but it's also easy to come in.
Right.
So you'll be able to draw from a lot of other areas of boaters. You know, I mean, yes, you have the road and you have the traffic, but there's going to be docks out there. So you're going to be coming in from the Lake Michigan, from wherever. It's easy to come, you know, hour from south or hour north and get in your boat. We're just going to go have lunch. That's a great afternoon. Get on Lake Michigan, go for a ride, go right up to Lakeside Social, have something to eat. I mean, that's fun. So that was a lot of that location.
I like it. So how did they bring you in? Have you been connected with these partners for a while, or?
I've known the partners for quite some time, and we've talked about doing some other projects, but it just, the timing wasn't there. You know, I mean, we had COVID, you know, last year and a half. So I was in Texas for the last year and a half, and I opened 5 restaurants in Texas, and I was going to do a high-end steakhouse down there. A really good buddy of mine, you know, that I've known for 20 or so years, we had talked about doing a restaurant, and we'd always talked about it. It was kind of a passion project, and just the timing didn't work. So he called me down. COVID was horrible. We had no jobs in Michigan. It was, you know, I mean, and I have, you know, a beautiful wife and 3 amazing kids, and you know, so I, you know, needed to provide. So
Sure.
What am I doing? So it just kind of worked out. It went down there, but the investor down there was he's the largest commercial real estate developer in the state of Texas, so pockets were very deep. But then he ended up getting sick and having some problems, and ended up at one point pulled the plug on everything. So came back home, and so my wife and I were like, where are we at? What are we going to do? And so that's when my wife and I decided to open a company called Chef and Ginger. So my wife has red hair, I'm the chef and Ginger. It's phenomenal. So what we are doing is opening restaurants or consulting with restaurants to either menu plan, menu develop, hiring, you know, going through the whole opening process of a restaurant. And you know, at that point, either staying on or going another way. This project is dear to me because, you know, yes, we're going in as Chef and Ginger, but, you know, we're also a principal. So this one, I'm not going anywhere. This one I definitely will. 100%. There's no, you know what I mean? Right now, this is, you know, it's a chance of a lifetime. It's just a beautiful place and a great environment. So, you know, it's going to be phenomenal. So we will you know, put almost all of our resources into this to make it successful and make it, you know, what we have envisioned. So
what does the menu look like then?
I mean,
do you have
brunch is more fun than lunch. Brunch is more fun than lunch. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is, because you can, like, you don't feel guilty having a mimosa.
Yeah, having a mimosa, right? So, you know, it's going to be breakfast pretty much all day, or more brunch all day. We're going to do 3 meal periods, and you know, so you'll be able to come in and you know, so, you know, a Titanic French toast, which is a challah bread, you know, a brioche bread that we cut off all the crusts, we cut it into big squares, we put it in a royale batter, which is egg, cream, and a bunch of spices, and then we soak it, and all of that egg absorbs into the bread, and then we cook it, we pull it out, and then we poke holes into it and fill it with raspberry preserves and orange marmalade, and then we put these cookie crisps on top, and it literally looks like it looks like a Titanic, but we're not calling it the Titanic. We're calling it the SS Milwaukee. So nice. Our SS Milwaukee French toast is kind of a dessert, but it's really kind of still French toast. But you know, so there'll be that. There's going to be a lot of local, and this is where I would love your help. You know, we want, you know, local purveyors of maple syrup? Where are we getting some great walleye? Where are we going to get the morel mushrooms? And I say that because we're into the spring.
Right.
But all of those different items will be on the menu. It's not going to be a tremendously large menu, because
I'm down for that.
Yeah. Well, what I find is
simple.
that I want it to be simple. But more importantly, I want it to be amazing. I find that a lot of restaurants go wrong because they try to do too much.
Sure.
They try to appease everybody. So I've got to have a taco, a burrito, a burger, a grilled cheese, a steak, all of these different things, which I think are great. But we want to focus on doing less amazing. So we're going to do fresh, hand-cut French fries. Like, who doesn't love hand-cut French fries? You go to the county fair and you're standing in line for these fries because they come out hot, they're crispy, they're amazing. So we're gonna do them, right? I mean, it's just amazing. So we're gonna do big. There's a trend right now, I think, with smash burgers. Right?
Sure.
I think people are doing a lot of smash burgers, and I like them. But I'm also a big patty guy. I'm a big burger guy. So, 10, 12 ounce, big fat burger, nice fresh cut French fries, and then 4 or 5 different dipping sauces for the fries, which I think is phenomenal. There will be a steak. We're going to rotate some kind of a seasonal item, a steak, because, we have to think of cost and where we are. And a lot of that stuff has to come from a lot of different areas. Obviously, we're keeping it as local as possible. But, I want it to be fun, approachable, yet affordable, and I want it to be not even a perception. I want it to be a value. So when you get a burger, it might be $16 to $18 or $13. I don't know. Don't quote me on any of the prices.
Yeah.
It's going to be very comparable to what's happening in the area, but it's going to be big, and you're going to say, "Wow."
It's worth it.
It's worth it. Yep.
Good food, good value.
Good food, good value, and I would much rather have you say, "Oh my God, it's too much food," than not enough. People will always come back if it's too much. If it's not enough, they go, "Oh, whoa," get a little bit,
Yeah.
So what other dishes? There'll be some form of an eggs Benedict on there. We have to do some kind of eggs Benedict because I love it. But it might be a seasonal, maybe a crab cake, maybe a walleye. Definitely, a little bit more creative on that stuff. And healthy stuff, and vegan options. There always is going to be, there's a template. So what I like to tell people on how I cook is I'm seasonal, modern, American chef. So seasonal is pretty straightforward. We are, summer, spring, winter, fall. There's different produce. There's different things each season, right? American is literally an adaptation of everything else on the planet. We're a young country. We're young. But a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah, we're still babies.
You're a baby. You say, "Oh, well, American. Let's make mac and cheese." Yeah, really? Mac and cheese. They've been making mac and cheese in France before we were born. So it's an adaptation of everything else in the world. So it allows us the opportunity to kind of do a little bit of everything. And then, the modern side is what we were saying earlier about catering to, the needs of everyone. So vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, all of those different things that allow us to have something for everybody to come in and enjoy a meal. So.
And then, as I was going through the article here, August. They're shooting for August.
We are shooting for as soon as possible. Obviously there's a lot of factors that go into that, but I can't put 100% time stamp on anything right now. But I just know that we're working very diligently to get it open as soon as possible.
How's the parking situation going to look there?
There's a parking lot already, and I know that there's parking, and we're working on that as well. But there should be definitely parking. We have space for parking.
I just think about it from what's currently there, and then there's the boat launch.
Yeah.
So access there.
Yeah.
I think about it growing up there as a kid and trying to turn south on 31.
Yeah.
Out of that parking lot or driveway. It was kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Well, what I'd like to see, and I don't know yet, but obviously, it's a great environment and it's a great new potential or new business for the community. So hopefully if we can get some help from the city. I've always said the same thing, and I'll go out there and say it, but I think a light there would be phenomenal. I don't know if that's good or not to say, but a light would be phenomenal.
Excuse me, that might be an MDOT question.
Yeah, MDOT. MDOT. Come on, MDOT.
Well, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a neat place. The menu sounds great.
Yeah.
The pictures that I've seen, the architectural renderings look really sexy.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to see those. It's really going to brighten up that spot over there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of, businesses kind of moving more towards that 31 corridor there.
Yeah.
Both north and south and getting into the township. So there's a lot of traffic that goes by there. So, I would think that it's going to be a busy place.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a fun place. Throughout, I've been cooking for my whole life. And, what I find is that if we can create an environment that my wife and I enjoy to go to, it'll be successful. And what I mean by that is we work hard. And so when we go out, we want comfortable, approachable. We want a fun environment that we feel important, and so we're going to do some of those things at Lakeside Social that will make you feel important, and simple things that don't cost a lot. So, if you get a glass of wine, it'll be a nicer glass. It'll be a nice glass. It doesn't have to be a Rydell or a, $25 wine glass, but it's going to have a feel of that, $25 wine glass. You get an old fashioned, or I saw in the past you might be partial to bourbon. But you're gonna get a nice glass, that has a good feel and just makes you, feel comfortable and welcome and special.
Will it be a place where you can kind of just hang out and have cocktails, or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm hoping. I'm hoping that you hang out and have cocktails all day long. But yeah, for sure. The cocktail program is going to be amazing. It's not going to be as craft cocktail-y as you would think, higher end. It's approachable, and it's about comfort. But it doesn't mean that you still won't get a nice, square, beautiful one rock ice cube if you order an old-fashioned. It's going to be, those cocktails are still going to be made with care, passion, desire, and love. They're definitely going to be, some thought that goes into it for sure.
What does the inside look? How is it?
Yeah.
So restaurant seating, obviously tables and chairs, and then is there a bar?
Okay, so when you walk in, the first thing that you're going to walk in is you're going to have a huge horseshoe bar, almost a round bar. All of the doors facing the water are going to open or be available to open. And so you'll be able to look right at the water, like you're sitting sitting right there. So as you're sitting around the bar, this beautiful bar, there's some high tops on the right side. As you keep going past the bar, there's going to be a large fireplace. Now that wood burning, it's a real wood burning fireplace, will separate kind of the bar area and the dining room. So you'll have the feel of the wood burning fireplace at the bar, or you'll have the feel of the wood burning fireplace in the dining room. So you can have a little dual action. But I just feel like there's nothing like, especially being up north and coming here my whole life, there's something to be said about a wood burning fireplace, and it just the crackle, the heat, the comfort, you just feel cozy. So that's on the dining room, and then outside there'll be a gas fireplace that basically when that gas fireplace is lit, we're open, and when it's not lit, we're closed. So that's kind of be that beacon, almost like a lighthouse. But when it's lit, we're open, and when it's closed, when the light's off, we're closed. And then there'll also be a fire pit out on the patio as well. So that's going to be all that.
I think it's going to be a fresh place to hang, man.
Yeah.
It sounds great. You're doing a remarkable job explaining it.
Yeah. Well, it's it's easy to explain because it's always. It's our vision. It's my wife and I's vision, and it's something that we've wanted to do for a long time. We just got so fortunate and so blessed that it happened to be here in Manistee, and that we get to be able to bring this product to a great community. You know what I mean? Obviously, my brother's here, and I have family here, and my nephew and his wife. So they've been here for a long time, and it's just super exciting to be able to do what I love closer to family. So
you're gonna have Dairy Queen ice cream at your shop? That's a shout out to
Mike shout out to Dairy Queen. Oddly enough, I was with them. I was with them this morning, and I was going to bring you some, but I was like, I don't know. I think I don't know if he even eats Dairy Queen and want to show up. Say, here's a Dairy Queen, and be like, no, I don't eat sweets. But now I know. Next time I'll definitely bring something.
Yeah, I'm a sugar addict.
Oh,
I don't put any of that stuff in my house anywhere, because if it's there, I eat it all.
There you go.
100%. But I do go to Dairy Queen on occasion. My daughter works there.
Oh, there you go.
But I want to learn a little bit more about you.
Okay.
Yeah. So a friend of yours told me that you were the head chef for George Steinbrenner. Is that true?
That little baseball team. There's a baseball team, and I always say it this way because it's kind of funny. But there's a baseball team that I worked for in New York, small little program, in the Bronx, and the New York Yankees. So in 2009, I opened a NYY steak for the New York Yankees. So I was the last, one of the last people in the old stadium to leave, and then one of the first, company, but people in the new stadium. And so we opened in 2009. Happened to be the year that we won our 27th national championship. I mean, I have to throw that in there. I know I'm going to probably upset some Tiger fans, but it was a phenomenal experience. I mean, what people don't know is when you're opening a brand new stadium, the amount of people and bodies that go into producing that and building that is immense. I mean, it's $1 billion project or however many billion. But what I didn't realize is as you're going through the construction of this structure, people put their stamp on it and they put their love into it, and it's amazing because what I'm saying is behind picture frames and walls and urinal in the bathroom, all these guys writing, you know what I mean? They're writing things on the walls like I was here in this year, and I didn't, but it was super cool. And then when they started to tear down the old Yankee Stadium, you saw all of this history of people. I mean, it was like 19 whatever. Like I was here. It was phenomenal. It was a great experience. So I did. We prime, meat steakhouse environment. That was a great experience and phenomenal. So when it comes to our meat program at Lakeside Social, it's going to be pretty on point. Which I'm who doesn't like meat and potatoes?
Yeah, people do.
Yeah,
so like I said, I lean more towards vegetarian, but that's more for health reasons. Same thing for my wife with her diet. But that's not to say that I never enjoyed a thick, juicy steak.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. So, what else?
Yeah, well, I mean, keep rolling. So you were in New York, and then you. So
I basically, I went to Central my freshman year of college, and I thought I was going to go into biology and medicine like my dad, and realized that wasn't for me. Ended up moving down to Florida. I was going to community college. What kind of do I do? Where am I at? And I ended up going to Indian. It was Indian River Community College. Now it's Indian River University, and they had a culinary arts program that was that they were starting, and they were doing it as a trial. Is this going to work? Is this something that, will take off? And so they were basically trying to get kids to do it. It was tuition free, so that was right up my alley. And all I had to do was pay for my books. And, my mom's 100% Italian. My dad's German, so a lot of passion, and I've spent a lot of time in the kitchen with my mom and a lot of hard work and dedication and different things outside with my dad. So I was like, well, let me try it. And that was it. Fell in love. And so it was an apprenticeship program accredited through the American Culinary Federation. So I had to be working in a restaurant to actually be in the program. So I would go and get most of my training on the job and then a couple days a week or a couple nights a week in school, which was phenomenal. But there's two sides to that coin, right? So if you do it that way, it's one thing to get into a kind of an apprenticeship program at an Applebee's or a place that's not very nice.
Right.
I was fortunate enough to be in Florida where, the Space Coast, Vero Beach, Fort Pierce area where there's a tremendous amount of high-end country clubs, and really talented chefs. So that's where I started working at this club called Orchid Island Golf and Beach Club, and the executive chef at the time, his name was Jose Faria, great friend, shout out to Joe, one of my first mentors. And he was a gold medalist in the Culinary Olympics in 1988. Phenomenal. And he took me under his wing. And, with him, I was fortunate enough because Florida was seasonal. Yeah. I would work for the regular season in Florida, then the off season, Joe would send me to different places. So the first place I went to was the Ritz-Carlton in St. Thomas. So I spent, I know, right? Tough life. Yeah, go to the Ritz. So I spent 8 or so months down at the Ritz-Carlton in St. Thomas, and I came back. Then I went to Basin Harbor, Vermont, at the Little Basin Harbor Club. So that was Lake Champlain. That was another phenomenal place. Then I came back, and then I went to Highlands Falls, North Carolina. So I spent time there, then came back, and then I finally graduated. And then when I graduated, I through the time that I was there, I met Jose's mentor, which was it's just amazing. So Jose Ferreira, first mentor, and then he learned from a Japanese chef by the name of Hidemase Yamamoto-san. And Chef Hide and I got along very well. He likes to play golf. I like to play golf. He likes to fish. So we kind of hit it off. And then when I graduated, Hide was the executive chef at the Chatham Bars Inn in Cape Cod. So he said, "Chef, do you know what I mean? Do you want to come up? I said, well, sure. So I left Florida and took my first chef job as the executive banquet chef at the Chatham Bars Inn. At literally, I'm not going to date myself, but I was a baby. I mean, sure. I was like, oh my God, and went to Chatham, right? And Chatham was a phenomenal experience. $19 million in sales. Banquet. It was crazy. It was just crazy. But worked with Chef Hide, and he was absolutely amazing too. So while I was at Chatham Bars Inn, I had a great experience. I left Chatham, and then, at that time there was, I had wanted to be in New York City and had been to New York, and I said, you know what, let's check it out. So then I ended up, leaving Chatham and moved to New York, and I took a job at Union Square Cafe. Well, if anybody knows restaurants, Union Square Cafe is run by Danny Meyer, which is probably one of the best restaurant tours in the world. I mean, Shake Shack, Union Square, I love Madison Park. I mean, he's, his company and what he has done for the business is phenomenal. Okay. But he was, it was a phenomenal learning environment. Everything from scratch. It was just a beautiful kitchen, amazing. So I was at Union Square Cafe, and then I was at Le Cirque, which is another great place.
I've heard of that.
Yep. Then I was at Restaurant Danielle. Then I was at the 21 Club, and all of these experiences were absolutely amazing and great. And through all of that, I ended up meeting David Burke. And so David, it was kind of funny because I was at Union Square Cafe, and Hide called me from the Chatham Bars Inn, and he said, "Hey, listen, you know David Burke?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I'm in the city. I know him. I don't know him, but I know of him." And he said, "Well, David's coming to Chatham to do a dinner. Why don't you call him and see if he needs any help?" And I'm like, "This is David Burke. Like, what?" And I'm like, "Okay." So I went over he was at the Park Avenue Cafe at the time. And so I went over to Park Avenue, and I said, "Chef Burke, do you need any help? I'm Jason. I know Hide. I know you're." He was like, "Oh, yeah." He was like, "Be here like whatever date." So I had my car in the city at the time still, which, whatever. And I show up, 6 in the morning. He loads my car full of all kinds of stuff. And I spent the weekend with him in Chatham and just got to know him. And he says, "Great job. Come work for me. And I said, well, he was working for, Park Avenue and One CPS and Smith & Walensky and that group at the time. And I said, well, chef, I want to work with you and I want to learn from you. I don't want to learn from some other chef that you've trained. And he said, all right. And that's kind of how it has actually ended up. But, so wanted to be with David, and I didn't talk to him. I went on and did my other things and so on and so forth. And I was randomly walking down the street. This is how it happens in New York, right? And so I'm walking down the street in New York, and I saw this guy who I knew David knew, and I said, "What's going on with Chef Burke? Where's he at?" And he's like, "I don't know. Do you have his number?" And gave me his number, and I called him. And he's like, "Where are you at?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm on 61st between, 2nd and 3rd Avenue." And he was like, "Oh, I'm opening a restaurant, 61st between Park and Lex. Come down." And I said, "What?" So I literally walked down. He hired me on the spot, and we opened up David Burke and Donatella, which, that's who we went on Iron Chef America with. And I mean, it's just kind of funny how it worked. And I was with David for, a number of years, did, all of his David Burke in the Box, David Burke at Fromagerie. I mean, I just got very fortunate. And he, ended up being my third mentor, who now is a personal, friend. He cooked the food at my wedding for my wife and I. I mean, he's just amazing person and amazing, friend that I still talk to. So those three gentlemen, this is crazy enough, the three. So Jose, Hidemasa Yamamoto-san, and David Burke, all three phenomenal chefs in their own right. But we were getting ready to do this project in Texas, the steakhouse I was telling you about, and I had designed a chef's counter, a seated counter, so it was right by the pass, and the whole idea behind it was to just hang out and have fun and talk. All three of those had signed up. They were going to come on opening night and just support me, and I could call any one of those right now and say, "I need work," but different, but I'm just saying they're just very, very lucky. So that's it, pretty much.
That's a hell of a crew to learn from.
Yeah.
That whole clip right there just elevated the Lakeside Social, I think. You put some expectations on that place.
Well,
based on what you just said.
I mean,
which is rad. Did I hear you say Iron Chef America?
Yeah. Yeah. You can. I mean, I think I'm season 2 of Iron Chef America. I was with David Burke, and we went against Bobby Flay and Battle Lamb.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool story. So, what they don't tell you on Iron Chef America is that they don't tell you what it is, right?
Okay.
Obviously, they don't tell you what it is, but they do give you an idea. They'll say it's one of these 3 things, which I think is,
it's
what I mean, which is fair, right? I hope I'm not breaking any rules. I think that's public knowledge or whatnot. But anyways, so what that means is, but you don't know what they are, right? So we had, it was lamb, pork spare ribs, or live eel. So and they only tell you the week before. So I must have killed 1,500 eel the week before. I mean, and you know what you don't realize is eel don't die. They don't die. I mean, it's crazy. So in Japan, when you start dealing with eel, there's a special. It's literally like a nail, and you have to put it through their eye and nail it to the cutting board. Because they don't, you can't, the slime, you can't hold it. And you nail it to the cutting board to clean them. It's the craziest thing. And I must have killed, so many eel, and I'm like, oh my God, please, Lord, don't let it be live eel. Oh my God, don't let it be eel. Oh, I was so scared. And the other thing is pork spare ribs. Well, okay, pork spare ribs, that's great. You know how many pork spare ribs I cooked in a pressure cooker that week? I mean, it's a pork spare rib. You got an hour. Yeah. I mean, what are you going to chew on a gnaw? You can't gnaw on a pork rib.
You gotta
so it's
got to
be. Yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be tender. So I mean, and then you got a pressure cooker. Pressure cooker. So you're trying to open it, and I'm like, is this going to blow up? So anyways, but we got lucky enough that it was lamb. And we did some awesome things on that show that were just gorgeous. I mean, we went against Bobby Flay. We lost. But, I always tell the funny story because, if you watch the episode, I am literally running around. I mean running, 100%. And so the sink on the show, the water spout was opposite. Normally you flip it up and it turns on. Well, this one, it was opposite. You turned it down and it turned on. But I didn't know. So I'm running around, and they always tell us, like, don't worry about the dishes. Just, we'll clean it up afterwards. Throw it on the floor. Whatever you got to do. And as a chef, it's always like, oh my God, we got to work clean. And we're trying to, so it's kind of different. So it's kind of this mind thing. But the sink was different, and the judges' table was right behind the sink. And so I'm running back and forth to the sink, and I'm doing stuff, and all of a sudden I'm at the sink, and I hear, "Chef!" And I'm like, what the heck's going on? Chef! I'm like, wait a minute, what's happening? And I look up, and one of the judges, I forgot her name, but she's on the Antique Roadshow. I forgot what her actual name is. But she was like, "Chef, the sink!" And I looked down, and the water was like, I'm like, oh my God.
Man.
I'm like, oh my God. Because it was opposite. I had thought I turned it off, but I really turned it on, and there's all kinds of crap in there. And then, I'm like, oh my God, so I turned it off. Water was overflowing. They didn't, you didn't see it, but yeah, it was fun. It was that one, and then I was fortunate enough to do Chopped as well. Chopped was
shit.
Yeah, Chopped was good.
We'll talk about that one quick. I'm gonna pull these clips.
Yeah. Well, listen, don't judge me on Chopped.
Okay.
Because I'll tell you right now, my episode of Chopped was very, very controversial. It was probably, I think they had said it was like one of the top most controversial episodes in Chopped history. And it's because I have values, and I have, I try to stand for what I believe in. And so basically open the box, you start doing all this thing, and first round was whatever. It was amazing. I think it had venison, and the next round I had, they had extended it. Normally it's like a half hour for the second round, but they extended it 15 minutes because we had a 12-pound turkey, right? I had to cook a whole turkey. It was a seasonal episode called Seasons Eatings, and so I'm trying to cook this turkey. But what happened was they gave me turkey. They gave me like parsnips, marshmallows, like all this crazy stuff. So basically, and rutabagas. So but rutabagas are kind of bitter. It all worked. So I basically did a rutabaga like puree with marshmallows and kind of make like a fluff kind of style. But I made this puree in a blender. But there was only 2 blenders on set. So I make a puree, and the guy next to me says, can I use the blender? And I said, sure. Just make sure you take the puree out. I had blender, but I had 3/4 of it still in the blender. And I said, just take my puree out of the blender, please. You know what I mean? And he's like, yeah. Well, he didn't. He literally took all of the same ingredients and threw them on top of all of my ingredients, and then he made his puree. Well, didn't sit well with me. I'm like, guys, he cheated. Like, come on, man, that's my stuff. And the judges were like, oh yeah, your puree is great. And I said something like, yeah, because I made it. It's my puree. So I was very boisterous. I definitely voiced my opinion, but it was a phenomenal time. It was super fun, and I feel like I probably learned a lesson that if I would have just probably bit my tongue, I probably would have made it a little bit farther. But I also, it's kind of that I look back on it, and now that I have children, and it was a good life lesson. It was a good life lesson for me. It was a good life lesson to learn probably when and if I should kind of keep my mouth shut, or do I stand up for what I believe in? And I felt like the guy. The rules are the rules, and do you stand up for what you believe in and follow the rules or not? Listen, I'm a, I can't say I've never broken a rule. It is what it is. But I'm saying, in terms of, my children and growing up and moving forward as a father.
Yep.
That's, so that was that one. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then you'll see a lot of stuff on the news. A bunch of, good day, Good Morning America, that kind of stuff. ABC, NBC, CBS, but.
Well, Chef, I do think that this is going to shed a lot of light on the Lakeside Social Club. Mm-hmm. I think it's definitely going to put a spotlight on what this concept is going to be when it's finished. Mm-hmm. And I really think, I had no idea your background was this.
Oh.
Well, a lot of people open up restaurants and, they don't have somebody of your caliber, behind the table making things happen. So
yeah.
I think it's really exciting. Yeah. I'm excited for the project to get up off the ground. I'm ready to have some fun with brunch.
Yeah. You're gonna have a good time. And all of what you're saying, I'm super excited for and amazing. But on top of all of it, the opportunity that I feel like we're bringing to the community in terms of jobs and the economy and literally trying to really, elevate a beautiful community. Manistee is a beautiful spot. It's just gorgeous. And it's a good, wholesome place to be. And so if we can create an environment that has good food and kind of can help elevate who we are in the community, there's just, birthday parties, anniversaries, there's going to be spots outside for, events, and all of that. We want to make memories, lasting memories. I know that you have a phenomenal memory of the space and in that area, and so we'll probably end up talking at some point and saying, hey, what do you remember eating there? Let's play with the menu and put something on the menu that will help have a memory for you, which would be kind of fun.
Yeah, I need to dig up some memorabilia.
Yeah, old menus. I'm sure they have food, right? I think that'd be great.
I gotta find some stuff, but yeah, it'll be cool.
Yeah.
I think you nailed it, Chef.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
Cheers.
Yep. Thank you.